In this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 reasons you should be using a safety razor. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, it's gwsmallwood, the Shaving Disciple. And today I thought I would talk to you about 5 reasons why I think you should consider using a safety razor. So it's the new year, it's a time of transitions, and it's a good time to start something new if you've never considered one before. I know I have a lot of friends who just started watching this new channel who they know I'm kind of weird and I do this shaving thing as a hobby, but they don't really know why. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to give them an explanation as well. So for the purposes of this video, I'm considering a safety razor to be any sort of double edge, single edge, injector, the newer supply razors, the leaf razors I think would qualify. Basically anything that has a single blade edge. So this is the traditional double edge safety razor. This is probably what most people are familiar with when you talk about a safety razor, and this is what I use most frequently. So let's go ahead and get started with the 5 reasons I think you should consider using a safety razor. Number 1 is cost. So most people are using these guys, good old cartridge razors. This is some sort of a 6-blade deal here. The best you can do for replacing your cartridges is generally around $2 a cartridge. Now, if you do the math on that, most people, men particularly, are probably going to use a cartridge for about a week's worth of shaves. That comes out to around $100 a year. God forbid you're using a fusion of some sort, then it's probably closer to $150 to $200 a year. Whereas if you use one of these guys, double-edged safety razor, double-edged blades are around 10 cents a piece. I shave my head 2 to 3 times a week, and I use around 2 blades a week probably, which is fairly average for most people. That comes out to about $10 a year. So $100 a year on one hand, $10 a year on the other. The number 1 reason you should use a safety razor is cost. So let's go to number 2. The second reason I think you should use a safety razor is for comfort. So these cartridge razors that most people are using, they have a fixed blade angle. There's nothing you can do about the angle that those blades are set in there. They also have a fixed distance that the blades are from the skin, which means that most people are going to use them exactly the same way. The problem is not all people's skins, face shapes, and the way they hold razors are the same. So because of that, you tend to get a poor shave with these. Another problem with these as far as comfort goes is the lubricating strips. Now, they're supposed to help. The problem is they've got things like propylene glycol and soy and other contaminants in there that can actually be irritants for a lot of people. So those can cause discomfort. The other problem with a cartridge razor is the way it's designed to cut hairs. So because there's multiple blades in there, they actually dull the leading blade edge so that it physically pulls the hair out of your skin so that the next blade in line can come along and cut it, which leads to hairs being cut and sucking in below the skin surface. That's what causes ingrown hairs and folliculitis. So that's another reason you should switch to a safety razor for comfort. A safety razor is a single blade edge, and that blade edge, you can control the angle that you swipe it on your face. You can also control with very little degrees of pressure how close that blade edge is to your face. And with a cartridge razor, if there's 5 or 6 blades in there and you're going over the same area of skin 2 or 3 times, you're basically running 15 different razors across your skin. Whereas with the safety razor, you do the same 3 passes, that's only 3. So you get a lot less irritation, it's a lot more comfortable shave. Number 3 on the list, closeness. So this is kind of the same reasons as the number 2 on the list, comfort. But because you can control the angle and the pressure with a double-edged razor in ways that you can't with the cartridge razor, you end up with a much, much closer shave. And I think anybody you ask who's ever used one of these would agree with that. The 4th reason I think you should be using a safety razor is conservation. So cartridge razors are probably at least 60% plastic. And that's just the cartridge razor itself. If you take into account the packaging and then the plastic packaging that these come in, there's a lot of plastic, a lot of things that have to be thrown away. With a double-edged razor, it's just metal. It is generally stainless steel. It comes wrapped in paper in a cardboard box, and usually there's multiple boxes inside a larger cardboard box. Every single piece of this is recyclable. So my 4th reason you should consider using a safety razor is conservation. Number 5 on the list is contemplation. So this one's a little bit weird, but shaving with a double-edged safety razor takes a little bit more time and a little bit more focus. We live in a busy, noisy world, so anytime we have an opportunity to slow things down a bit and quiet things down a bit, it's going to be healthier for us. Another thing that's good about using the safety razors is it turns a routine into a ritual. So I actually read a very, very interesting set of articles on the Art of Manliness website on the power of rituals, particularly in a man's life. And shaving with a safety razor is not something that happens too automatically. It takes a little bit more concentration than swiping with a cartridge razor, and it creates that space for it to become more of a ritual. Now, rituals are good for us because they center our minds, they focus our bodies, they bring a sort of gravity and a sense of purpose to everyday activities. They also allow for moments of reflection and a sort of mindfulness. So I know right now, especially with the pandemic and all the anxiety that's going around with the pandemic and the news and the financial situations, mindfulness has exploded. Meditation apps are huge, and there's a reason for that. It's because all of the studies show that getting yourself out of your mind and into your body is healthy because we spend so much time trapped in our own heads. So using a double-edged safety razor actually encourages that sort of mindful activity. It connects you with the activity that you're doing in a bodily fashion and gets you outside of your own head for 10-15 minutes a day. So as a bonus reason why I think you should consider switching to a double-edged safety razor if you haven't already is nobody I know who has ever tried one has gone back to cartridges. I'm sure it happens. I'm sure there are a few people who prefer the cartridges, who enjoy the ease and the mindlessness of it. But I just gave you 5 very, very good reasons: cost, comfort, closeness, conservation, and contemplation, why you should probably consider switching to a safety razor. Hope this video has been helpful for you guys, and I'll see you next time.